Welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. Some really good feedback from you guys who are enjoying watching this kind of more informative critique style videos. I'm really glad to hear it's going down well. And we're building a really good community on the Facebook group as well. So it's only been going for just over a week now, I think the Facebook group is, and it's doing really well. So thank you for all you guys that have joined the Facebook group. Really good to see you guys there. And there's already quite a good community building and a bit of a natter and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really good. Okay, so last video we had Paul Johnson and Mark Fernley's images on, and I made a bit of a mistake on both images. Now, because I know Paul Johnson shoots with a Fujifilm and an Olympus camera, but when I was editing the photograph, I actually said for the shot was shot at 1.7 in RAW, and I couldn't believe how sharp the depth of field was. And it turns out he actually took the photograph on his phone, which I didn't know. And I was actually really shocked when he told me that. I did know he did photography on his phone, but I didn't know that image. I forget you can actually even shoot RAW images on your phone, to be honest with you. So I was really surprised when he told me that. And yeah, I was actually impressed then with the quality of the image that we got out the edit. So yeah, a bit embarrassed that I didn't know that. Also, Mark Fernley was watching, and he ripped me a new one when he seen the crop I put on his image. Now, it was actually a mistake because I watched the video back, and what happened was when I straightened the image up and then put a 5:7 crop on it, actually chopped off the top of his building, which he was mortified about. And I completely agree. When you look at his edits, you can actually see that he's left the point of the building in there. And yeah, when I applied the crop, my mistake, it cropped the lady at the bottom of the image in the background, which had depth to the image, so I messed that up. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, it's because I was talking to the camera. That's my excuse anyway. And yeah, it chopped off that as well. So I messed up Mark's image. And I heard about it, so apologies, Mark. Other than that, we got the colours pretty similar. Both of us went for a blue, but yeah, they're really good feedback on that. Also, in the last video, I mentioned this book by Brian Lloyd Duckett, Mastering Street Photography, a really good book. I pointed out the projects suggestion that he mentioned in the book as well. So projects are definitely something I'm going to take seriously when we get the opportunity to. Now, I didn't realise, but Brian actually watches the channel. So yeah, hi Brian, thanks for watching. And he's also a YouTuber as well, and he's a Fuji X photographer as well. So I didn't know that. So jump over to Brian's channel, check him out and give him a subscribe if you haven't done already. Really nice guy, and his channel is dynamite. It's really useful. Lots of little golden nuggets of information. So do check out Brian Street Snappers, I think he's called. But yeah, do check out his channel. He's a really nice guy. He actually sent me this book, 52 assignments for street photography. Now, I knew they did one. I didn't actually know this was Brian's book. It's a coincidence. I wanted that book. I didn't know he had this book as well. So I wanted this book for a while, but I knew there was a landscape photography version, but didn't know there was a street photography version. So really pleased with that. And he sent me a signed copy, which is really nice of him. Keep up the good work. All the best, Brian. So yeah, really pleased with that. Thank you, Brian. This arrived in the post today, and I couldn't wait to have a look at it. And I thought it would be really good because the idea of an assignment after lockdown, when I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be extremely rusty with my street photography. I'm going to be hitting the streets like I've never done it before. It's going to be like, because I'm so out of practice. I was quite nervous about it actually. And I went through this book and I couldn't believe it, but assignment number 2, right, is Apocalypse Now. And it actually says, imagine that you are in a dystopian sci-fi world and that your town, village or city will not exist this time next week. It could be a viral outbreak or something. You can't write this, can you? So, yeah, I couldn't believe it when he suggested imagining that it's going to be a viral outbreak or something in his book. So apparently this book predicts the future. Well done, Brian. Fantastic. So yeah, definitely worth picking that up. I'll put a link to Brian's shop in the description. So in the video today we've got 3 photographs. We've got one from Tim Scott, which I really like, this view of Tower Bridge in London. Absolutely, I've never been to this view. It's well known, but I've never actually been there myself. Avinash Singh has given us this really nice ambient night shot, which again don't know where that is, but looks really cool, looks European almost. And then we've got Jonas Hanson, who's I don't know what this is. It looks like the entrance to a train station or an airport or something like that. Really modern looking place there. That looks cool. Let's turn my Wi-Fi off. There you are. So that looks really cool. All 3 are RAWs. Okay, so let's jump in and have a look at the images. Okay, let's have a quick look at Tim's image. settings wise, I don't know how he shoots, but the histogram looks absolutely bang on. He's not clipping any part of this image here. So the very, very brightest part of the image, which is obviously down here, and perhaps, no, it's definitely going to be down there, isn't it? So we'll see if we lift that up, how much he has to, no, yeah, it's down the bottom there. So we've got miles before we clip, so it's a really, really good histogram, perfectly exposed. So I imagine he's either shot spot metering and metered for that area there, or he's shot fully manual, so he knows that he's got complete control over the exposure. But it's a really, really good exposure as far as the histogram is concerned. So 850th of a second f4. So I'm not sure what camera he's using. He's a 10mm lens, so f4 on a 10mm lens, you're going to get massive depth of field anyway. So yeah, f4 is going to be fine. His ISO is really, really low as well. So yeah, good settings. So what we'll do is I'm going to leave this one colour. I think this one needs to say colour. I'm going to call it, oh, it is a Fuji camera because it's classic chrome. It's let me choose classic chrome. So we can bring it up a little bit. I'm not going to crop it, but I've got an idea of what I'm going to do with this image. I think there's a lot of black going on down here. Now this is an image, I think, that if I was going to take it, I'd have crouched down with the camera and gone a bit lower just to emphasise this line pointing up here. And then perhaps I'd have waited for somebody to come a bit closer to the line as well. But I do what I like about the image is, although he's a silhouette, and I like it as a silhouette, this area here, it's emphasising the shape there a little bit. So I think that's going to be kind of the theme of the image. I'm going to keep it a very simple silhouetted looking image. I think it looks really, really nice. It almost doesn't need any editing. I'm almost happy with it as it is. I think it's a really nice subtle image. Obviously just cropping the bottom off. My only critique would have been just to lower the camera down, and perhaps as well, I mean, I don't want to crop anything out. I don't want to crop into the image too much, but if you'd have anticipated this, I would have come here and had this reflection being in the bottom corner. So I'd have had that sort of, I'd have gone in a lot closer. I assume if he's on 10mm, he'd have been on 10-24 with the Fuji. So yeah, one of my favourite lenses. So what should we do? We'll brighten up a bit more. We don't want to clip really. Let's get rid of that just to see. It actually doesn't matter, does it? It gives us that nice crisp edge of what is the is it a town hall building? I forget what they call that now. I'm not going to touch anything. Do you know, it's a difficult image to edit without the crop, because I actually don't feel like it needs anything. I think he's pretty much got this a cracking shot straight away. I'm going to crop the bottom of it out. I'm going to crop the bottom of it, and I'm going to straighten. Tell you, while you're in the crop mode, if you hold, get rid of that. If you hold the command on a Mac, if you hold the command button, you've got the level comes up, so you can just toggle between cropping and just press the command button, and you can just drag a line down what's a straight edge and just make sure you've got them straight edges. Now he's done, I've got to say actually, on a 10mm lens, to get vertical lines straight on a 10mm, which is equivalent of a 16mm full frame, he's done extremely well to actually get vertical lines anywhere near vertical. So that's a great job done. I'm going to give it a aspect as well of about, I think I'll go 8/10 on this one. Now, I do really like the idea of having that sort of image. I don't want to crop into it too much. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to darken the blacks there. Bring down the highlights just a little bit, just so I'll get that, bring the detail back on the tower in the background. I really want to be able to see this chap a bit more clearly on the right. So I'm just holding Alt just to see where I'm clipping. So as long as you're controlling it, it looks all right. And exposure up just a touch. Right, I'm going to leave that image there. I actually love this blue tone in it as well. Actually drop the white balance. Let's make it a bit more blue. There, look at that now. Perhaps a bit too blue. I will point out, actually, I watched back one of my videos, and the blue I see on my laptop is nothing like I see on YouTube after it compresses the video a bit. So yeah, I'm seeing quite a blue image here, and you're probably going to see a bit more of a toned down version. Let's leave that now and go on to the next one. I think it's a good idea just to spend a couple of seconds on an image, then move on. Just keep it looking as natural as possible, so you're not overcooking the image too much. So let's go on to the next one now. This is Avinash Singh's wonderful scene actually. My only critique here is I absolutely adore this mirror, this window on the right hand side, this warm tone against the cold security light blue, and I just wish that he'd included that into the scene and just stepped to the right about a metre or two, and just there's almost a cracking shot just there with that light there, the lovely tones. These people look like they're just leaving somewhere, or just, you know. But I like the story. I like what's going on. I like that they're obviously going to, is it a restaurant or something like that? The Gin Vault. Good place to be going. We'd love to go there now. So what we'll do is we'll straighten it up. We won't do anything other than straighten it up. So I'm going to use a dominant line, which I'll use this door. I'll use this door just to get my vertical line. I've done that, but it doesn't look straight. Let's try again. It doesn't look straight. Let's try that. That's better. There you go. Needed 2 attempts. I'm not going to do any more editing to this. Again, he's pretty much, let's look at the settings. ISO 3200, f3.6, 100th of a second. Now you've got moving people in the scene, but they're far away from the camera, so 100th of a second isn't going to be an issue. 3200 obviously for a street scene isn't any sort of risky ISO at all, and f3.6, don't know what lens he's got. I'd perhaps probably gone to 2.8 only just so so you'd have been able to drop the ISO a little bit, but to be honest, it's no issue whatsoever. The very slight motion you're going to see in these people just adds to the story, you know, just adds to the fact that they're not static. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a gentle crop on it. I think I've decided I don't like the light on the left hand side here. I wish this area here, I wish he'd moved it over here somehow. So yeah, I really love the ambient light. It's a lovely glow, looks really warm and inviting in there and cold out here, so really nice. Actually, if we drop that white balance a touch, and what we could do is come down to selective colour now and go to orange and bring up that orange a touch, just to add that contrast between the two. It could even lift the blues. Actually, no, I'm going to drop the blue, just drop the blue a touch. Yeah, I don't want to go too nuts on it. I might regret that in a minute. Let's have a look at the exposure. We can go up a little bit with the exposure, not too much. He's got the exposure bang on, to be honest with you. I'm not going to touch you could drop the highlights and retain some of the information back in the light bulb there on the left hand side, but we'll drop the highlights a little bit, nothing crazy. The blacks, everything's already black. Press that so you can see what's black. Actually see a load more detail. There's a sign there. I didn't even notice that sign. It's cool, isn't it? Very cool. What I'll do is, it's a Fuji camera again. So my standard for colour is classic chrome. Straight away. Look at that. Do you know what? That almost doesn't need any editing. I would probably be happy with this in like a 5:4 crop. So it's annoying because the window isn't entirely in the frame. I don't feel like I can leave it in. Now I'm wondering if I go portrait. No. That's a shame to crop that out there. You can't do that. Sacrilege, that is. So I've got no choice. I have to leave that window in. But I'm going to crop it in the middle so it's not so... There you go. That's quite nice. I mean, actually, I've gone a bit tall on that. Let's bring it down a touch, a bit more of the step. Nice railing in the top here. It's gorgeous. Wonderful scene. Lovely scene. Almost like a painting. Really nice. Again, leaving that image now. I'm not touching that. I'm going to move on to the next one because I'm not sure how much more he's doing on that. This is a super cool scene. I really like it. And let's have a look at the settings. 640th of a second, f11, ISO 2500. Now, he shot this in the day, so 2500 is in modern day terms isn't high ISO anyway, but I definitely think he could have compromised a lot on the shutter speed here. So you could have definitely, I mean, the person's moving, but not particularly fast, so that could have come down as low as, say, 200th of a second, really. The aperture could have come down to f8. That would have made the ISO down to about 800, so you'd have got a lot cleaner image, but it doesn't matter. It's well executed. It looks like he's got the histogram, again, perfect. Don't think there's any clipping. No, there's no clipping. Histogram's perfect. But we'll look. We're not on a Fuji camera here. We are on a... I don't know what it is. but we will go black and white with this one. So we'll go monochrome. Now instantly, I don't like these guys over here. I think I don't like it's a shame. These are obviously leaves or something, I guess, in the floor here. I would be really tempted to tidy some of them up, make them a little less obvious. Difficult one to edit, but I really love the scene, and what he's done is he's positioned the person, so he's waiting for them to come into this shape here, and that's really nice. It's just a shame that he wasn't stood a bit more to the right, so that this line here, this building, could have been included. Would have got the line square, because if I straighten that building up, which obviously I can't do because it's just going to mess the image up, but if I straighten that building up, oh, I don't know, do we get away with it? No, we don't. Of course we don't, because look at the base of it now. So you can't straighten it. So yeah, I'm going to have to crop that. That's the bit that's going to annoy me. That building there is the bit that's going to annoy me. So if I get rid of them chaps, something needs to be straight in the image. And I don't know what it is. See, that building in the background isn't straight, and that, yeah, so it throws me off a little bit. But already, I mean, it's a really good image. Doesn't need much editing. I'll probably drop the blacks, emphasise that contrast. The more I'm dropping the blacks, actually, the more I like it. I'm just ashamed. Oh, cropped off that corner there, haven't I? Difficult one. Difficult one, because now I need the same amount of white around that. And I'm getting the back of these blokes here. Difficult one, I think. Perhaps it would have been worth waiting at this location, I think. Difficult one. Let's continue now with the whites. Just make it black and white. I'm going to drop the shadows and see what happens, just to make that shape pop a little bit. And you see that line is just... Actually, now that we've lost that detail in there, we might be able to straighten that line now. Let's have a look at that. So we've got enough space around... Oh no, you can't. You're still seeing it, aren't you? No matter what you do with the shadows, you're still seeing that slightly offline there. Oh, Photoshop. You're going to have to Photoshop that line straight. That's the only thing we're going to do. I'm obviously worried about the building windows and stuff. That's a lot of the time with street photography, you get away with complete random angles and stuff like that, and it's not an issue. But I just find that with buildings and with structures and with obvious vertical lines, obvious horizontal lines, for me they just have to be right. If they're not right, it just kills the image. No matter how good the rest of the image is, I can't unsee this. So I really, really like the image. I like the idea of the image, and I love the light on this person here. She's even a good subject, actually. In fact, if you'd have gone in close, she's a fantastic shape, isn't she? She's wonderful. Yeah, the light catches are brilliant as well. But yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? I can't do anything with that building. Yeah, Photoshop. Let's leave that. Let's go back to Tim's London blue scene. Bit of a theme with this blue at the minute, and I might be interested. I'm preferring it over here now, because that puts almost the tower on the bottom third. There you go. Early morning jog before work. Now I want to get some white around that area there. I want some clarity in this area. If I lift the clarity up a touch, that might do that. To be honest, if I seen this image now, I wouldn't have thought it needed any more doing to it. I'm really, really, really happy. Let's if I come down here and I make sure that the lens correction is on, because sometimes with the 10mm you can even get away with that's already done. Fantastic job on a 10mm lens to get that, on a Fuji 10mm lens to get that like that. You could put a local adjustment brush in this area here, very slightly brighten up the whites. Oh, I don't want to do that. That didn't seem to be doing what I thought it would. Okay, let's have a look. Let's turn that off, make sure that's done it. Yeah, it just brings him into the scene a little bit, that's all it needed. I'm really happy with this. I don't think it needs anything else. I don't think it needs anything. I'm not going to touch the shadows, which is, yeah, I think that's done, that image. I wouldn't touch that. The only thing I'm struggling with a bit more is the guy here, who is kind of the main subject, isn't... Rules of thirds aren't, you know, the guidelines. They're there to give you a starting point, and then when you understand what rules perhaps should be considered, it's up to you then to be creative and decide whether or not you want to break them. And I don't think this image needs to have him on the rule of thirds, but it kind of adds... It makes sense, I suppose, but this line here, I don't know. What needs to be on the third, the line or the guy? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I think the guy. Let's put the guy's head on the third and go there. I would probably get rid of this light here in Photoshop. Otherwise, let's bring the exposure down a bit more. That's it. That's where we're leaving it. I'm happy with that. Brilliant shot. Clarity's fine. Let's not touch anything else. Let's not touch anything else. Okay, back to the restaurant scene. Beautiful, beautiful restaurant scene. Shame about that light. If you do get to revisit this, Avinash, worth. If you can revisit this scene, it's worth definitely spending a bit more time there, waiting for somebody to be in this doorway. If you can get back to this scene and just wait for somebody with an umbrella on a rainy day, or with a trilby, or with a hat of some sort, a quirky silhouette. Or if you'd have waited for one person to go in this doorway, that would have made the photograph. We can only assume they're going to the restaurant, but I to be honest, I don't think it needs it. I think I'm just going to lift the oranges up a bit more, and the yellows, because there's a bit of yellow that's not getting. That is it. I don't think it needs anything. Let's touch the exposure up a bit. It's starting to ruin it. I like the subtle tone. I like the subtle... It looks like a painting. I'm going to change the aspect of the crop though. Let's go at 8x11 instead. That's better. That's better. I'm happy with that. I think I'm happy with that. Up the whites a little bit, because I'd like a bit more contrast in it. You could go into Photoshop and dodge this bit here and just brighten up these bits, but just, I don't know. It looks like a painting. I really like it. I'm going to keep it as it is, actually. It's really cool. Right, yeah, this image I'm struggling with. I am struggling with. It's just because these guys on the right have to be in the picture. So there they are. Okay, that's better. That door is horrible, so we get rid of that door. This is why you revisit an image, because straight away I see what I don't like. Okay, I'm happy with this image now. If I can straighten that... It's not going to happen with them windows, is it? It's not going to happen. Yeah, my only critique on this photograph is, Jonas, is that if you can revisit this and get that background straight. I don't know, what lens were you using? 28mm. So I don't know if that's full frame 28mm. I assume it's full frame 28mm. So I assume this is a full frame camera. Yeah, just try and get that vertical. Just watch out for your vertical lines, guys. That's a pet hate of mine. But yeah, I'm not sure if these people make it or what. But yeah, I think that's as far as I'm willing to go with this image. The only thing I would probably do is just go into Photoshop and just get rid of a few of these things on the floor. Not all of them, because obviously they're blown in leaves, aren't they? But just tidy it up a little bit. That's the only thing I would do. We'll try the white balance in the black and white, see what it does. But I know it's going to introduce more. Yeah, it's introducing more of the background. Drop the white balance. No, it's not doing this. I'm losing contrast by doing that. So I think it's about right where it is. Drop the shadows even more. So it is what it is, isn't it? Yeah, it's cool. Nice reflections here and stuff. It's an interesting building. I'd like to know a bit more about it. But yeah, I think I'll leave it there. That's done. Happy with that. That's done. I'll make a bit more of the... Yeah. Let's go this way. A bit more. Okay, the door's on the third there as well, which is nice. Doesn't need to be, but it balances there. Yeah, it's a nicely balanced image. It is. It is. Definitely one to return to. Get a perfect version of that. Yeah. See, I feel like if this was white around here, or a bit more white, up the contrast perhaps. See, I'm overdoing it now. So what I'll do as well, I'll add a grad just in the bottom corner here and darken that a touch. That's far too much. There you go. Could probably put one in the bottom right corner as well. Yeah. Okay. If it wasn't for that curve, I would definitely be cropping. You can't do that either, can you? Can you do that? It's a shame to lose that awesome curve. That curve makes the image for me. I mean, that's not a bad image. I don't dislike this, but it's just sacrilege losing that curve. I don't really know what you can do in that. Let's go back to the original crop. That's all it can do, isn't it? Yeah, that's all it can do. Brilliant. Right, that is it. I'm going to leave them. I'm going to put the originals of the photographers up next to mine now, so let me know which you think works best. Any tips and what you'd do differently, let me know. But yeah, by all means, jump over to the Facebook group, Street Photography Creators. It's a worldwide club, so anyone in the world can join it. Hopefully we'll get to arrange photo meets and stuff like that all around the world. That'd be pretty awesome. But yeah, send me your raw files. I'll put a link to an email in the description as well, so you can send over some raw files if you'd like to feature your images in the video. That'd be awesome. I'm getting quite a lot of emails come through now anyway, so I've got lots to choose from. But yeah, by all means, send them through. And yeah, feel free to subscribe and definitely check out Brian Lloyd Duckett's YouTube channel. Really nice guy, and thank you, Brian, again for sending me that book. That's awesome. Really appreciate that. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you picked something up, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.